really impacting those coastal areas, and we can better see that on our infrared satellite. So on our infrared satellite, we can really see along that South Carolina and North Carolina coast those reds. Now that is that very warm, moist air that is associated with Hurricane Dorian, and that is why we've seen quite a bit of tornadoes spin up right around the coastal areas, because it needs that warm, moist air, and once it moves over land, it sees a difference in that wind speed and also wind direction. So that's called wind shear, and that's the perfect environment for those tornadoes to spin up. Now we can better track that landfall with our infrared satellite radar here. So if we zoom in just a little bit closer to that Carolina coastline, it really rode right along the outer banks, but it doesn't technically count as a landfall until the center of the eye of the hurricane makes its way over the land. So that didn't happen until it was right over the top of Cape Hatteras, and we could just briefly see that point there. Now I mentioned snow. The main question, how much snow are we going to be getting? And it's actually going to be a decent amount of snow. It looks like everybody's going to be seeing around an inch, and in some of those heavier pockets of snow, we could be seeing up to about 1.5 inches of snow accumulating. Now I do have some good news though. Most of those roadways are still pretty warm, and because we're going to be having that mixed transition event as well as strong gusty winds today, it looks like a lot of that snow is not going to be able to stick on the roadways. So even though we are going to be seeing about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of snow, a lot of that's just going to be accumulating on grassy and elevated surfaces. Again, we did have quite a bit of fog out there this morning, and that was because we had an inversion set up over the atmosphere. So that just means normally as we go higher in the atmosphere, the weather gets a little bit colder. Well, for today, we had the cooler air down towards the surface, and that warmer air was higher up in the atmosphere. That allowed for some fog to be forming as that moisture was trapped down at the surface for us. Finally, that fog has lifted, but we are still stuck with a layer of stratus clouds. We can better see this ridge set up as we look at our 500 millibar heights map. So the warmer the air, the less dense it is, and the higher it reaches with those vertical air columns. So we are currently sitting right in the middle of that ridge. That is the hottest part of this ridge, and we stay there throughout the day on your Tuesday. And then as we get towards Wednesday, still in the center of the ridge, but it is starting to break down just a little bit more as it does continue to shift a little bit more off to the east as well. And once we get towards Thursday, that ridge starts to flatten out a little bit more, and again, that allows that cold front to be moving past us. And we have a lot of sunshine, which means that our atmosphere is destabilizing a lot more, and that means that severe storm risk is even greater for us now. So we are looking at already having a lot of this activity that is moving to the northeast. So we have this line right now that is just off to our west in Paducah, as well as up towards Evansville. They are already seeing a number of tornadoes that is happening within that line. We're also tracking this development that is down to our south, and that is moving over us. We are starting to see some showers here locally, but again, just looking at that tail end of that line, that's also headed our way. So we are keeping an eye on that and a little bit of a broader view of this to see all of this system that is headed to the northeast. So that's what we're keeping our eye on, and we are looking at that impacting us within the next couple of hours. So about 2 to 5 p.m. is when we are looking at seeing some of that activity possibly becoming severe for us. And a better look at some of the things happening in the atmosphere. Our temperatures right now are currently sitting in those lower 70s, and our dew points, they're starting to climb a little bit more. So we're looking at right now our dew points are currently right around that 60-degree mark, just off to our west in those mid-60s. And as we do have those stronger winds, that is helping us see those dew points increasing. And as we see those higher dew points, that's also priming the atmosphere more to have some of those severe thunderstorms as well as possibly some tornadoes. So for that reason, we are in a tornado watch for the areas to the west of I-65, and that is in effect until 4 p.m. today. So we are looking at some of those severe storms possibly bringing a few tornadoes as well as large hail and damaging winds. Now, speaking of winds, it's very windy outside. We do have those south winds. These are the sustained winds that we're looking at right now of 20 to 30 miles per hour. It's very windy, and those wind gusts are up to about 50 miles per hour, 51 miles per hour in Glasgow. Very windy conditions. For that reason, we are in a wind advisory until 7 p.m. tonight. We've already seen a few power outages. We have 4,100 people in Bowling Green without power right now as we are having those windy conditions. So we are looking at those wind gusts of, again, up to about 50 miles per hour, and we are looking at tree limbs and branches that might fall and create more power outages, as well as difficulty to drive at some times. So that is something that we are also keeping an eye on aside from these storms. So a better look at that onto our futurecast, and we are looking at seeing that line headed our way. Futurecast isn't picking up on this too well, but we did see that a little bit clearer on our radar, what we're looking at. But from about 2 to 5 p.m., that's when we're looking at seeing these severe storms developing for us. That cold front will be moving past us in the overnight hours, and then once we see that moving past us, we will be clearing out and we will be drying out as well as cooling down behind this front. So seeing a brief break from those clouds in the overnight hours, but that cloud cover returns to us on Fridays. We have a secondary wave headed our way. We're also going to be seeing some sprinkles headed our way possibly on your Friday. Then finally, the sunshine for Saturday, but still staying on the cooler side. Now back to those storms today. We are in an enhanced severe weather risk for this afternoon and evening. Again, 2 to 5. That's really the time frame we're looking at. We're looking at damaging winds, heavy rain, hail, lightning, as well as possibly a few tornadoes. Again, those storms just to our west, they weren't even in the enhanced severe weather risk, and they've already seen a number of tornadoes, and we're in the enhanced risk, so we're right in the middle of that action that we are looking at popping up for us. We are in a 10% risk for a tornado, so that is actually getting a little bit in the higher rankings for that possibility, and hail is the same situation, about 15% for that. Winds, obviously we've already had a lot of wind and more wind in those severe storms headed our way. That's at a 30% risk. So again, stay very weather aware over the next few hours, especially for this afternoon and evening. We are still looking at those temperatures climbing, still being windy, and again, seeing those severe storms later on today. That will be clearing out later on tonight with that overnight low, dropping down to those lower 40s after that front passes. Well, we are having a few technical difficulties for us for today. Unfortunately, when I walked into work this morning, our weather system died on us. So we're going to have to do our forecast old school, and we're going to be using paper for today. So right now, look outside, and we are going to be seeing those temperatures. If you are looking out a window, mostly sunny conditions. We do have a temperature of 80 degrees right now, and we are looking at having those nice calm winds to start off this afternoon. It's a very beautiful afternoon outside, and I'll actually be stepping outside in just a few minutes and giving you your full weather out there. That's right. It is the perfect day to have some sunscreen on. We have a gorgeous afternoon. The sunshine is out. We do have some clouds that are starting to make their way through the sky right now, but pretty comfortable. So let's get right into that forecast. We are looking at that temperature right now being about 80 degrees. It is nice and mostly sunny, as we can see. Great afternoon to have lunch outside. And we do have those winds that are on the lighter side. When I looked it up online, it said that we had calm winds, but I think that we're probably having closer to about 5-mile-per-hour winds. Either way, it is still a gorgeous afternoon. And we are looking at temperatures climbing up to those mid-80s for today. We're going to be having some of those passing clouds. We're already starting to see a few of those clouds increasing a little bit. We're just going to be having a wave of clouds moving through later on this evening. Overall, still a very nice day, and we're going to be staying with those light south-southeast winds. As we head into the rest of the day today, we're looking at 3 p.m. still being very nice and warm with those temperatures about 83 degrees. Should be still mostly sunny. Then we're passing clouds. Then on 6 p.m., if you're headed out to the ball game today, Tail Wagon Tuesday is going to be great. Temperatures in those lower 80s for that first pitch, and we're going to be looking at those mostly sunny conditions. Then as we head into tonight, those temperatures will be dropping a little bit more as the sun does go down. 9 p.m. temperatures in those lower 70s. And we're going to be having those clear conditions as we head into the later parts of tonight. So for tonight, we're going to be having those mostly clear conditions, still staying with those calm winds, and we're going to be having that overnight low of 60 degrees, so still feeling pretty comfortable for the overnight hours for tonight. And we are going to be starting to see a stalled boundary. That's what's giving us some of these passing clouds. So that stalled boundary is actually going to be starting to move a little bit more to the south on Wednesday, and it's also going to be pushing to the east a little bit later on Wednesday. So what that means for us is on Wednesday, we're going to be seeing those temperatures climbing up to those mid to upper 80s. We're going to be getting breezy, and we're going to be seeing those clouds increasing throughout the day on your Wednesday. Then as we head into Wednesday night, late in Wednesday night, we're going to be starting to see a few of those showers popping up, but really we're going to be seeing that rain and thunderstorm activity for your Thursday. And we're looking at temperatures being a little bit cooler on Thursday in those upper 70s. That's closer to those seasonal averages. Thursday, we are tracking the potential for some severe thunderstorms, though. go, especially in those afternoon and evening hours. We are in a marginal severe weather risk. Our main concerns are those stronger wind gusts, lightning, as well as heavy rainfall. So make sure that you're staying weather aware throughout the day on your Thursday.